It's cheese time. G'day everyone. Today we're making cheese, and the particular cheese we'll be doing is Fontina. And Fontina is an Italian cheese, pale cream in colour, riddled with eyes. This cheese is very rich, creamy, and gets nuttier with aging. So we're going to age it for the 3 to 6 months that it says we should do. So first thing we've got to do is sterilise everything, and we're doing things a little bit more thoroughly this time. Haven't had a problem, but just to make sure. First thing we're doing is, if we come over here, we have our sodium per something or other, oxy bleach. Anyway, it's completely safe for people. You can see it bubbling away, producing oxygen, which is sterilising this. We'll rinse them off in the boiling water that we have over here. And we're boiling our cheesecloth to make sure that that's sterile as well. So with a mix of boiling, wish I could remember what that was called. I just looked it up not long ago. Sodium percarbonate, I think. The oxy bleach and ever useful isopropyl alcohol. We're going to keep things nice and sterile. Now, this particular cheese is a cow's milk cheese. So we have our non-homogenised milk. We're going to use 10 litres of that. And it's actually a very, very simple cheese to make by the look of things. So let's get on with it. Well, we need to get our whisk out too. There's still a fair bit of cream in here, as we can see. So we'll just add a bit of milk in, give it a shake and get that out. We want all the creamy goodness, don't we? This one's the same, so. The recipe says 10 litres, but we're doing a little bit more, not enough to make a difference. We have 1.5 litres. .31 degrees we need, and we're going to do it fairly slowly. Let's get our thermometer and our alcohol. Right, and we've got to get rid of all the cream. Mix all that cream in. And it'll get easier as it warms up. I tell you what, it's hard to get this milk. If you're in Perth and you know where to get non-homogenised milk from, like 10 or 20 litres at a time, I'd appreciate you telling us. Let me know in the comments. Right, we need half a teaspoon of liquid rennet. Let's get our half a teaspoon. It's a quarter. So we need 2 of these. One and 2. Put that in front of that so we know which one's which. And we need the same of calcium chloride. I think that was about right. Missed the spoon. All right, and they're there. So they're ready to go. We've just got to wait for our milk to heat up. And we'll keep whisking it, making sure the cream's fully incorporated. And we'll be back when it's at temperature. And that temperature was, again, just so we remember, 31 degrees C. So it shouldn't take that long. So now we're going to add the mesophilic culture, and this particular one is an MO030. There's quite a few different ones around, and we're using 1/8 of a teaspoon. It's got a bit lumpy in there. There we go. We sprinkle it across the top. Oop, it went in one lump. Now we're just going to let it rehydrate there for 5 minutes. Then we're going to stir it through. After rehydrating for 5 minutes, we're going to spend a minute just gently stirring the culture through. Making sure we've got no lumps of cream while we're at it. Okay, we're going to stir this for a minute, and then it will sit for 1 hour to ripen. Our ripening is over. Been sitting there for an hour. We'll give it a quick mix to make sure that all the cream's incorporated in there. Just with a whisk. And now we're going to add our calcium chloride and stir for 1 minute. So in it goes. And we'll stir for 1 minute. We have our rennet and we pour that in. And stir for no more than 1 minute. I think that's properly incorporated. A bit of cream floating on the top there, but that'll be all right. There we go. We're going to leave that for around 45 minutes to set, and we'll come back and check it. Time to check the curd. So if we look for a clean break, our knife in, yeah, that's lovely. Getting a nice clean break. Can you see that there? Now, one of the major differences with this cheese is we're going to cut it into pea-sized pieces rather than the 1/2 inch or 1 inch cubes. So we'll use our cheese harp just to make sure we get a cut through all of it and we don't end up with any huge lumps. And now we're going to gently go through it with our whisk. Now go down to the bottom. And we'll just sort of lift up, making sure that we get all of the pieces cut at least a little bit. So we're not actually whisking it, we're just using the whisk to slice through. We'll keep looking for right, that's mostly it, I think. We need to let it heal for 5 minutes. Then we will give it a stir for a few minutes, and then we let it heal again. In the meantime, we've got 5 litres of water heating up, and that will need to be heated to 63 degrees C. So we don't want it boiling, we just want it at 63 degrees. So we'll keep an eye on that. It's at 31 at the moment. And we're going to wash the curds a little bit. So we're going to drain some of the whey out of here, replace it with some clean water, give it another stir, and that's our next step. Our curd is healed. Here you go, all better now. Nice curd. That's just been sitting there for 10 minutes. And now we're going to stir it for 10 minutes and making sure we get that pea-size lumps, which we haven't done a great job of. We've got some fairly large pieces in here. And we're going to stir for 10 minutes while I chop up all the big bits. A few big bits from the bottom. I'm not surprised I've missed them. It's very hard to get a whisk all the way down the bottom. We shall return after 10 minutes of doing this. So after stirring for 10 minutes, then letting it settle for another 5, we've got to remove 8 cups of water. So we'll put our sieve in. That's 1.5. You want to come in and get the sieve? 3.5. 5.5. 7.5. A little bit more. All right, that's 8 out. And now we need to put 8 cups of water back in, and the water has been heated to 63 degrees. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8. And we'll just do a little bit more because we weren't quite filling those cups up. There we go. So our next step, and it's almost our last step, is stir for 10 minutes and let it settle for 5. And I'll just check the temperature, because the temperature should be about 39 degrees. Almost 37, it's 37 degrees. So it's nearly warm enough, but it'll do. So stir for 10 minutes and I'll let it settle for 5. It's been settling for 5 minutes. We're going to take all of the whey out and siphon it through our cheesecloth lined colander, which has been boiled. I'll just lighten it up a little bit before I try and pour the whole lot through. You can see the curds have become quite small. This is what we expected. Handy doing it this way, because if we fill this up, we can empty it into our press and then keep going, because it is getting very full. Didn't say how long we're meant to let it drain for. Okay, there's a lot more curds to go, so we will get our cheese press and start filling it up. It's going to make a fairly large cheese, I think, unless we lose a lot of moisture when we're draining it or when we're pressing it. Okay, I think we're good to pour this now. I'm going to get my hands in there, so just bear with me while I sterilise them. So it didn't tell me how long to drain these for, which is a bit of a odd one. Let's get all of the curds out. Just to try and drain it a bit better. squeeze it here, but there's an awful lot of whey still sitting in there. Yeah, we're going to have to squash this down anyway. So we'll sort of squeeze that a little bit. Doesn't say to do this in the instructions, but I'm not sure we've got a lot of choice. Otherwise, we're not going to fit it all in there. Right, we may have to press this down a little bit, and then we'll put the rest in on top. So I'm just going to put it in the press, squash it down, open it up straight away, and put the rest in. We end up with more curd than I expected. So what I've done here is I've just balanced 6 kilos of weight on top here, just to push it down enough that we can get our lid on for the longer term pressing. Once this has been the 30 minutes or an hour, I can't remember. Oh, let me check. 30 minutes. We'll see if we can get the lid on. We'll wind it all the way up to our final pressing pressure of 10 kilos. And then we'll leave it for the 12 hours at least. It's actually going to be overnight, so it'll be a bit more than 12 hours. So we're just trying to keep this balanced, push it down until we can get the lid on. Then we'll put it at a final press pressure. I've just taken it out of the cheese press. It was in there overnight at 10 kilos. And we've got a bit of a lip here, which will actually take off. So I'm just going to cut around very carefully. Now, luckily the curmudgeon camera person likes this, so she will eat it. Just a bit of curd with. There we go. Just a little bit more. Oops. Took a dig out of that. There we go. And you can see that it's shrunk down a lot since we put it in the mould. So it's squashed down quite a lot. I've made up a 18% brine here, which is 220 grams of sugar per litre of water. Just made up 2 litres in here. And we're going to get our cheese, take it off the cloth. And carefully drop it in. Now that's a little bit warm. 2 litres is plenty. We need to put something on top here to make sure that it's completely submerged. So we need to leave it in the brine for 10 hours. After 5 hours, we'll flip it over. Then we'll take it out and we'll air dry it. Once I've put this on here, it's actually not enough brine in there. So I'll just make up another litre, add that in, put some in the jar, and that'll suit it nicely. We've air dried it for 3 or 4 days now, and we're going to put it into its maturation chamber. But one of the problems we have, of course, is, well, we've got 2 problems. Number 1, he keeps trying to get it. And number 2, because it's a natural rind cheese, we're going to get some mould on it. There's not much we can do about that. So here I have some saline solution. It's about a bit over 10%, I suppose. And I'm just going to wash it down with this saline solution every few days, just to keep that external mould under control. Particularly concentrating on holes that we've got like that, a bit on top there, and that salt will just kill off that mould. But we will end up with a furry cheese at times, I think, but that shouldn't be an issue. Back in it goes. And into the cheese cave for the next 3 months. Fontina done. If you've tried it, bought from a shop or made it yourself, let me know in the comments what it tastes like. Like, subscribe and hit that bell icon so that you can find out what we think of this one in a few months' time when we open it up. Enjoy life. I'll catch you in the garden.